Hello everyone, my name is Deepak and I am a tax code advisor. But today I don't want to talk to you about taxes, but I want to talk to you about immigration. You might be wondering why immigration? Well, it has something to do with recent elections. In last few days, as I was consulting with clients, I felt that people are scared. People are afraid that President Trump is going to take some major actions on immigration. And I thought it's important that I share my point of view with all of you guys. Now, before I continue, I want to advise everyone that I am not an immigration attorney. For that matter, I'm not attorney at all. Like I said, I'm a tax code advisor. My job is to help you file your taxes, help you bring in compliance, help you save on taxes. My job is not to give you immigration advice. Why I'm making this video? Because I think my clients oftentimes fall victims of spending thousands of dollars to some courses, to people who perhaps are not the right one because they're there to just scare them, to make some quick dollars out of them. And basically, all they're doing is really fear mongering. So I thought, you know what, maybe I should talk a little bit about this subject matter and clarify, at least from my point of view. Now, if you want to do something about your immigration, then the best advice is that you talk to an immigration attorney. They are the best person who can properly advise you as to how you should handle your immigration matter. Okay. So, having that said, everything I'm going to say is going to be informational purposes only, and you should do your own research, do your own due diligence before deciding whether you want to act on anything that I said. If you like it, tell me about it. If you don't like it, definitely share your concern as well. So let's talk about Trump administration and immigration. We'll address the impact on visas, on green cards, citizenship. We'll talk about family visas as well. We'll talk about some of the border policies, a refugee situation in the United States. We'll talk about some of the things perhaps you should do if you are, ready to do file for your green card or your citizenship or any other form. We'll talk about some of those things. So whether you are on a visa or planning to apply for a new visa, I think the policies Trump is going to bring in his administration going to have major impact on anybody thinking about coming to the United States or perhaps hiring someone from overseas. So let's talk about all of that stuff. But like I said, please consult with an attorney if you have any questions about immigration. You should not really depend on YouTube, social media, or other professionals. I think immigration attorneys are the only one who can provide you with the right information. All right, elections. I think this whole story, this whole fear mongering started with election. I think a lot of people were not expecting President Trump to win. In matter of fact, many polls that we got from different news media were completely uh, surprised when President Trump won the election. And not just that he win the election, he was able to get hold of control of Senate and the House. That means in United States we call it a perfect trifecta. The power of a president are somewhat limited if they don't have the control of Senate and House. But this time around, Trump had the White House, Trump had the Senate, and Trump had the House. This is going to make it so easy for President Trump to pass a lot of legislations. And that is what people are worried about. Not just that, in matter of fact, Trump has been winning a lot of cases as well. He's able to get judges on his side. So people are worried that even the judiciary is now favoring Trump. And in addition to that, Trump is probably going to add more conservative judges during his tenure. That means not just that he'll be able to set some policies during the 4 years, but he might shape the immigration of United States for a very long time. I think all of those fears are relevant to a certain extent. So we'll talk about all of those just in a second. But let's go back and talk a little bit about Trump 1.0. How did Trump acted when he was president the first time? So from 2017 to 2021, Trump focused on immigration big time. He had put so many hurdles for people looking for employment-based visas, people looking for refugees, people looking for family-based visas, or even for that matter, people looking for regular visas. I mean, he had put some very strict controls back in 2017. He went even ahead with some controversial policies. So you may remember he imposed a travel ban on people traveling from certain Muslim countries. That was very controversial in nature. And he even reduced the legal pathways for immigration by as much as 50%. So, even in his first tenure, people were scared and people learned from experiences. So people are going like, wait a minute, if he was able to get so much done without all the power that he has today, what is he going to do in his second term? So once again, I think all of those points are fair. I think that people have reason to be scared. But I want to point out a couple of things. Number one thing is that a lot of people are expecting that Trump going to walk into an office, and on day one he's going to pass some major legislation that is going to change the way immigration works in the United States. I don't think that is going to happen. Why? Well, number one, I think Trump is going to be way smarter in his second term. Trump is going to be more careful in his second term. I'm sure he has learned from his experiences from the first term. But more importantly, certain legislation, such as immigration, requires 60 or more votes in Senate to pass. And Republicans don't have 60 votes in Senate right now. That means they're going to need some help from Democrats in order to pass any major legislation. Will that stop Trump from doing something crazy? Probably not. I mean, Trump is known for doing something crazy. And when I say crazy, it means surprising. I mean, just the fact that he's able to win the election came as a super surprise to many people. And nobody really knows what Trump's going to do on the second day. I don't think he's going to come here with a plan for what he's going to achieve in the 4 years. I think he can wake up one day and say, you know what, we're going to change this about immigration. And the other day, he can change it completely. Like nobody really knows. He doesn't really have um, like a set policies. At least it hasn't been conveyed to me. If somebody knows what he's trying to do, I'll be happy to hear you out and please share your comments. But at least that's how I see Trump. On the other hand, Trump is very smart. He is identifying problems in immigration systems that have existed for a very long time and often ignored. I think that is one of the main reasons why the American citizens elected him as their next president. So he will not be able to pass a major legislation. However, he does have executive powers, and he can use those executive powers to make some regulatory changes. And that is what we are going to see in the next few days. For example, in the first 3 months, or I think that's what most people look at, that what is a president going to do in the first 90 days. Some of the things that he has done in past, he can bring them back very easily. I think they're low hanging fruits. For example, reinstatement of travel ban. He had targeted very specific countries in his first term. Can he bring that back? I don't see why not. What's the harm in that? He know people liked him for that. People appreciated his effort in that. So if he strongly believes that people from certain countries are hurting United States, he can definitely put a ban back on the table. So that is probably something that he would do. Then he did not like Biden policy on DACA and TPS. So he can obviously either reverse that or restrict them quite a bit. He has talked openly about that. So that's another one that I can expect him to execute on in the first 90 days. He can also increase the vetting on visa applicants. So no matter where you're traveling from, even from friendly countries like India, he's going to make it harder for people to get visas. Now, obviously, they don't really talk about that openly. He's probably not going to make a speech about it, or you're not going to read about that in the newspaper or whatnot. But I have a feeling that next year, even people applying for a regular tourist visa or student visa or any other kind of visa, you will see that these people will have more denial than they had in the last 4 years. On a border policies, he can go back. to his remain in Mexico policy. So if you remember, Trump has suggested that people who are coming to the United States seeking for asylum, let them wait in Mexico. And these asylum cases oftentimes can take a long time, 5, 10, 15 years. And the idea behind that is if you're coming to the United States and you really have fear from your own country, you wouldn't mind waiting in Mexico for a few years. About 10 years ago, I met a gentleman. He was working as a security guard in a company in San Jose. And as I was interacting with him with, I learned that he had spent early childhood in India, which was quite surprising to me. And I asked him, why did he do that? And he says, well, I wanted to come to the United States, and the United States asked him to spend, I think, 10 years in India before they will grant him visa to come to the United States. So it's not a new policy. This policy has existed for a very long time. I think the gentleman was from Afghanistan, if I remember correctly. So anyhow, my main point is that if somebody is fearful of their own country, living in Mexico is better than dying. So if people say, look, we don't want to remain in Mexico, we're just going to go back, that means they're not really afraid of their own country. They're actually lying to the US government. That's the idea behind having people stay in Mexico. So to me, I understand where he's coming from. He's probably going to increase deportation of undocumented immigrants. And he's probably going to prioritize criminal offenses. So people who have done any kind of criminal case against them, he's really going to make sure that these people either go to jail and definitely go back to their original country. He's probably going to focus quite a bit on Mexico, finish the wall that he has started and put other measures in place to ensure that borders are properly secured. He is serious about the border. He has made it very, very clear multiple times. So what does that tell me? Well, that tells me, number one, if you are in this country and you are illegal, then first thing you want to do is make sure that you don't do any kind of criminal act. Make sure your taxes are filing properly. Make sure you're reporting any foreign income. Make sure you're reporting your foreign liquid assets. Make sure you're following all the laws, and be a good resident of the United States. I think if you do that, you will probably find the US government to be on a good side. Versus if you have any kind of criminal case or you're not paying taxes or you're not properly reporting your income, I think you're going to have some trouble. A lot of people assume that if you're not legal in the United States, you can get away with not paying taxes. That is not true at all. Regardless of what your visa status is, immigration and IRS are completely two different branches of the government, and IRS expect you to file your tax return regardless of what your immigration status is. Now, why that is important, let's just say tomorrow there is a plan for you to become a legal resident of the United States. In that case, they will look at your tax history, and if you're not properly filing taxes, that is not going to go in your favor. So please definitely pay attention to that. Let's talk a little bit about green cards and visa. I think they will also get impacted once the Trump becomes president. More than likely, he is going to decrease the family-based visas. I think he's going to. So a lot of people are afraid about H-1B. I don't think Trump is truly against H-1B. I think Trump understands that this country is a country of immigrants. Trump understands that this country needs some great talent. I mean, he even said that on the stage that we need few more Elon Musk. So I think that point is very clear. But what he's saying is like, we only want the good stuff and we don't want all the accessories that come along with it. So I think he is going to decrease the family based visas. So look out for that. And he's going to use those extra visas from family to perhaps push for more higher educated people who are looking for employment, people who can fill in the gaps of people that United States is looking to fill. So I think that's where he's going to focus his energy. You might have heard of diversity visa program. I don't think he's in favor of that. Currently, United States issue roughly about 55,000 green cards every year for diversity visa. Um, I think he's going to get rid of that. I mean, that's 55,000 green cards that perhaps can go for people who are highly educated, who are here to build companies, people who are here to do some scientific research. Perhaps those visas can go to them. Is that fair? I don't know. I'll let you decide that. But I think that's where he's coming from. H-1B, L-1, O-1. These are some of the other visas that people are always interested in. But I think is going to make it a little bit harder for you to qualify for those visas. I think the requirements for the specialty occupation will become a little bit more difficult. I think he is going to redefine who qualifies and who doesn't qualify. I would expect more denial rates in the coming years compared to the last 4 years. So you will probably see that. Some of you guys watching this video, maybe from some countries where you are fearful for your life and you're coming to the United States for a better life. Well, when Trump was president, he brought down refugee rate to almost 15,000. In the Biden administration, that number is 125,000. So I'm just giving you those numbers so you can compare. Is he going to continue with that 125,000 cap for refugees? Probably not. I don't expect that. Is he going to go down to 15,000? Maybe not. Maybe he'll come settle for like 30 or 40,000, somewhere around that. But definitely he's going to push some brakes there as well. So if you are into that category, definitely pay attention to that as well. All right. Now, um, some tips I can give you. Once again, these are just some suggestions. You should really talk to your attorney to figure out what's the right thing to do. But some of the basic stuff, for example, if your application is, if you're planning on applying for application right now, maybe you can pay for premium processing so you can get the things processed a little bit faster before Trump have a chance to come up with some crazy rule. If you are, if you're H-1B applicant or L-1 or EAD or AP, something like that, then submit your application as soon as possible to avoid any further delays. If you need to get a visa stamping done, then book a consular appointment uh, and get that done as fast as possible. So any kind of delays can actually create unnecessary headache. Who knows what Trump administration will do? So if you can get away with it, go ahead and take care of it. If you need to file, for EB1 or EB2, take care of that. I mean, um, oftentimes during Wealth Summit, during other webinars, we talk about some of these other programs that U.S. government has made available to us. I don't know why Indian community is not taking advantage of these programs as much as they should. I mean, people spend more time wondering what will happen to their future. If they're able to, perhaps find a good business, perhaps invest in a good business or some other program which can help them earn some decent earning and they can secure a permanent residence in the United States, I think that's a win-win situation. So, um, if you're always fearful about your green card, then this is definitely one thing that you should pay attention to that. EB3 more than likely will get in trouble even during the Trump 1.0, and Trump EB3 was not doing very well. There was a lot of backlog as well. Uh, if you can apply for multiple categories like EB1, EB2, or family based, apply for multiple categories. You want to do everything you can so that way, you have less chances of denial. Um, if I don't know how much impact this might have, you can always talk to your local senator. You can always talk to your local congressman and see if there's anything they can do to help you out. Talk to your employer, talk to your attorneys, seek help wherever you can before it becomes even more difficult. If you're eligible to apply for citizenship, take care of that. Some people think that you can only get citizenship after 5 years, but in many cases, you can also get citizenship after 3 years. So you can qualify for 3 years. Go ahead and do that. If you are going in and out of country and there are lapses in your visa or in your documentation or you have done something wrong, be ready to explain all of those gaps, because I think more than likely next year the immigration department will start asking you a lot of questions around that as well. Another common one that people have been talking about is this birth citizenship. A lot of people are saying that Trump going to come and say, look, if your parents are not US citizens, your children should not be a US citizen. Trump has talked about it many times and he thinks he can do something about that. But a lot of attorneys that I spoke with and even some of the uh, podcasts that I have listened to, attorneys are claiming that's not that easy. Why? Because of the 14th Amendment. The right of citizenship is protected by the Constitution. How is he going to get around that? Nobody really knows. Let's see if he's able to solve that problem or not. But anyhow, but I can understand some of you guys who do have children who are U.S. citizen and you yourself are on H-1B or some other visa, you might be wondering, will my child be able to keep the citizenship? So my heart goes out to you. It is going to be uncertain at this point because it is Trump's stated policy. Um, we don't know if he'll be able to change that. Maybe he just did that to get the votes, to get some attention to him. Um, so I would not be super fearful, but obviously this is something that you should pay attention to that. Okay. Some people also wonder that you know, can your citizenship or green card be taken away? Absolutely, and I talk about that many times to people that look, um, especially because my business is taxes. Business owners, individuals come to me asking about what can they do to reduce their taxes, and sometimes I see people doing some crazy stuff, things they should not be doing, like moving their money overseas or coming up with all kind of fancy ways of reducing their taxes. Look, anything that is illegal, and that will come back in future and bite you. It's just simply not worth it. So don't get involved with that. U.S. government does have a right to revoke your citizenship, does have a right to revoke your green card. Oftentimes, what I have heard is people who are involved in fraudulent marriages, people who are doing crazy kind of unemployment claims, they're associated with some terrorist organization or banned organization. Those are the kind of things that I see people some of the things that's oftentimes not talked about, for example, business owners sometimes misqualify a W-2 employee into a 1099 employee. And I'm not talking about a couple $1,000 mistakes. Sometimes these are, millions of dollars of transactions. And watch, if the number is high enough, somebody's paying attention, because you are trying to defraud the system and IRS doesn't like it. And immigration definitely doesn't like that either. So be careful if you're doing something crazy like that, then maybe it's time for you to change your tax firm. Talk to somebody who can really help you understand the risk that you're taking and do the right thing. Okay, um, is immigration even the right thing, or should we just let it go? So let's talk about some of the financial impact of immigration. People oftentimes forget that immigration is in the soul of this country, and I think if we take a look at our population growth, if we take a look at the birth rates of this country, without immigration, I think we are going to be in trouble. We will see that our GDP would not be growing as fast as it is growing. We will see that our economy would not do as good as that it's doing. So immigrants are the lifeblood of this country. So in on average, $328 billion dollars in federal taxes is paid by the immigrant community, and $67 billion dollars is paid in state and local taxes. So that's a lot of taxes. That's a lot of money coming from immigrant community. 25% of U.S. STEM workforce is foreign born. So that helps innovation in this country. If you get rid of those people, what do you think will happen? I mean, are we going to have another Elon Musk? Are we going to be able to build the next Facebook, next Tesla, or SpaceX? I mean, I think it is going to hurt the country even more. So we have to be very careful. But again, at the same time, I understand what Trump is saying. He wants to focus on talented people and bring them to the United States to do all the right thing. Okay. Some of the other things you can consider doing is if you're planning on traveling internationally, maybe to India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, etc., then go ahead and do that travel perhaps before the end of the year. So that way, just in case Trump decides to change any policy next year, you don't have to worry about that. You'll be okay. Make sure you maintain proper documentation. If you have been overstaying your visa, then take care of that because I think that can come and hurt you. But most important, again, I cannot stress enough that you should talk to a good immigration attorney. You should have somebody on your side, somebody who can walk you through, somebody who can help you understand what is changing in immigration. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with USCIS. You should be following their, Twitter account. You should be following their website. Make sure what are they talking about. You are discussing that with your friends, family members, and figure out what is the right thing for you to do. So anyhow, those are some of the updates I had related to immigration. I would not be super worried at this point because not everything candidates talk about in their campaign um, becomes a reality. But I would be careful. I'll be watching out for things, and I'll make sure that I'm doing all the things that I can do that will make me look good. That's my suggestion to you. If you're watching this from a different country, maybe you are not in the United States and you want to learn what are the tax implications if you become a US resident, if you become a US citizen, um, then talk to me. If you want to figure out how can you set up a business in the United States while you're living in India, or Pakistan or elsewhere, give me a call. I'll help you understand all of those as well. If you need help with your business or individual taxes, I'm definitely here to help you. Once again, to set up an appointment with me, just go to taxcodeadvisors.com and you can reach out to me from there. I'm not an immigration attorney. I usually don't like to talk about immigration, but I think it is an important topic, and perhaps I will bring whatever information that I gather every now and then to you guys to help you out. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, your point of view, please do not hesitate to leave as a comment in this video. I think it will make this video complete. So thank you so much for spending your 20 minutes with me. I will talk to you next time. Thank you.